We've all seen the movies. We know what to expect. But what if it's all wrong? What if we're not the only ones in the universe? The search for extraterrestrial life has been ongoing for many years, but we have yet to find any conclusive evidence that aliens exist. However, that doesn't mean they don't exist. We may just not have found them yet. Well, Swiss government scientists says we may be on the brink of discovering alien life. A scientist who works for the Swiss government has made a bold prediction about whether or not we will find life on other planets. His reasoning seems pretty solid, according to Space.com. Dr. Sascha Quanz of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, which is run by the government, said that he thinks people will find life beyond Earth within the next 25 years. Didier Queloz, one of my colleagues and a Nobel Prize winner, found the first planet outside of our solar system in 1995. Quanz said at the opening of the Institute's new Center for the Origin and Prevalence of Life in September. Today, more than 5,000 exoplanets are known, and we're discovering them on a daily basis. Dozens of these thousands of exoplanets are thought to have the right conditions for liquid water to form on their surfaces, making them at least potentially habitable. He also said that this number is always going up. With new technology, we can now look more closely at these fascinating worlds. Even though the James Webb Space Telescope has already taken interesting pictures of one big exoplanet, it is mainly used to take pictures of stars and is not powerful enough, as Quanz said, to take pictures of smaller exoplanets. This is where two of the astrophysicists' projects come in. One is a huge ground-based instrument that will be added to the extremely large telescope that is being built in Chile. The other is a mission by the European Space Agency to look for signs of life in the atmospheres of exoplanets. This last mission, called LIFE, Large Interferometer for Exoplanets, was first thought of in 2017. It is still in the early stages of planning, and the ESA has not yet approved it or given it money. Quanz, however, called the LIFE program a candidate for a future large mission within the ESA science program. This is a huge step in the search for intelligent life, SETI community, which has gained more attention than ever in recent years as scientists take the idea of us not being alone in the universe more seriously than ever before. Quanz has set a 25-year deadline for his search for life outside of our solar system. He says this is not unrealistic. That's not all. Experts are puzzled by Harvard scientists looking for alien wreckage in ocean. When looking for intelligent life from other planets, most people look up. But at least one scientist thinks we should look at the ocean floor. Avi Loeb is a well-known professor at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, where he does his research. His most recent adventure has to do with a meteor called CNEOS 2014-0108, which is said to have hit Earth in 2014 at more than 100,000 miles per hour. The meteor was only 2 feet long, and it is thought that it broke up into small pieces and fell into the South Pacific Ocean. Loeb thinks the meteor came from outside the solar system, so it may have come from another planet. Whether or not it came from another planet, if this is true, the meteor would be the first large object from another star system to hit Earth and be seen by humans. No one knows for sure if the meteor is a piece of alien technology, and most scientists are, of course, skeptical. That doesn't seem to bother Loeb, though, because he's spending $1.5 million of his own money on an expedition to search the ocean floor for samples of the object. Loeb and his team plan to sift through the surface of about 40 square miles of the ocean floor with a sled that has magnets on it. They hope to find the metal pieces of the object. The ideal scenario is that in addition to tiny fragments, we would find a piece of an advanced technological device, like the 100th version of the iPhone. Loeb told Salon, "I would love to press a button on such an object." We're not sure that Loeb will soon be pressing the buttons of an alien's iPhone. If anything, it sounds like Loeb is just trying to get the scientific community to do what he wants. Next, researchers want to use the sun as a giant telescope to look for aliens. A project funded by NASA wants to use the sun as a giant lens to to look into the far reaches of the universe and look for signs of life. The project, which is being led by Slava Turyshev at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, got $2 million from the space agency's Institute for Advanced Concepts in 2020. This is a project that has given money to many other crazy moonshot projects over the years. Several small satellites would be sent on an epic journey that could take up to 25 years to reach the Solar Gravitational Lens, SGL point. The SGL is the point where a line made up of all the satellites, the Sun, and a faraway exoplanet target would meet. Then, as the light from the exoplanet passes by the Sun's gravitational field would greatly magnify it. This would let the satellite see much farther than has been possible so far. Universe Today says that point is also about 1,000 times the distance from the Earth to the Sun, which is more than a few times the total distance that NASA's Voyager 1 probe has traveled in its 44-year journey. To cover the distance, the mission would use a solar sail, which scientists are just now starting to test. In their paper, Turyshev and his colleagues say that if such a mission were ever to happen, which is a big if at this point, we might be able to look into a different star system without having to go there ourselves. And researchers say that this exciting possibility is worth the time and work. Moving on, a Stanford professor says he's been testing materials recovered from UFO crashes. Gary Nolan, a professor at Stanford, grew up reading science fiction. He made a name for himself by debunking a supposed alien skeleton he saw online. He published a paper that used genetics and biology to show that the tiny skeleton was not an alien baby. Nolan doesn't seem to be quite as skeptical about the supposed evidence of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, he's looking at now. He says that after the CIA talked to him, the government asked him to look at data from pilots who had come close to what they thought were UAPs. Nolan told Vice that he has also worked on the government to analyze about 10 to 20 metal pieces found at alleged UFO crashes. He said that some of the samples don't play by the rules of materials made by humans, which raises the intriguing but unlikely possibility that they are parts of technology we don't yet understand. Nolan told Vice that the government often keeps records of strange and unusual medical cases and looks at them later when there have been enough similar cases to give clues. Even though the government is collecting information on strange things, that doesn't mean there isn't a perfectly good explanation for them. We are not sure, but it is worth looking into. Vox says that even the Pentagon agrees. Before we agree that real aliens have been to Earth, we need more proof than just sample analysis and MRIs. Finally, as a bonus, NASA's massive moon rocket sidelined by a hydrogen leak. NASA scientists and engineers have to go back to the drawing board again. The Artemis 1 mission was supposed to take off on Saturday, but a hydrogen leak caused a last-minute scrub. The team has decided not to try to launch again soon. They are now figuring out what to do next, which could include taking the huge Space Launch System, SLS, back to the Vehicle Assembly Building for repairs. As engineers slowly put liquid hydrogen into the rocket's tanks, they found a leak in the quick disconnect device. This is a connection between the hydrogen line and the rocket that keeps the fuel safe until the very last second before liftoff. During the wet dress rehearsal for the SLS, there were problems with the quick disconnect. The team fixed the problem first by heating the device to move the seal back into place, and then replacing the hardware altogether. During the attempt on Monday, there was also a hydrogen leak in the quick disconnect, but engineers were able to fix it safely by manually adjusting the flow of the propellant. This time, they didn't have the same luck. First, they tried to warm up the quick disconnect to make it seal better, then they tried to use helium to do the same thing. A third attempt to fix the problem was to heat it up again and try to reseat the seal, but it didn't work. Launch director Charlie Blackwell Thompson called off the attempt because of this, and the team is now looking into what went wrong. In any case, there won't be any more tries to launch before the beginning of September. Launch windows are determined, among other things, by where the moon is in its cycle. The next launch window will be from September 19 to October 4th this year. That's it for today, guys. For more extraterrestrial news, subscribe to the channel. Cheers!